If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
Alrighty, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all, wherever you are all over the world. Welcome to Neely Fuller Jr.'s Counter Racist Code Show. This being the 15th of July, 2025. Good morning again, good afternoon, good evening. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mr. Bobby, and with me, and the lead facilitator is Gate, which I will introduce him in just a minute. But just a couple of housekeeping ideas. First of all, the books that will be discussed today are from Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., and they are the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, which you can purchase by going to producejustice.com. You will hear that all throughout the show. Now, you can help support and promote the show by hitting the like button and share button. To watch the show live, go to YouTube at Produce Justice, Facebook and Instagram at Produce Justice, Neely Fuller Jr., and you can also watch the show live at producejustice.com. By the way, a replay of the show is available immediately on all platforms. To get on the show to share your thoughts, click the link in the feed and you will be prompted on what to do next. To contact us off of the air, send your questions or comments to contact@producejustice.com. Now, to order the books, go to producejustice.com. And that's all you have to do today. Okay, again, I am Mr. Bobby, and I will now introduce Gate. Gate, good morning, and how are you?
Mr. Bobby, I'm still learning, as Mr. Fuller would always say. And I once again ask everyone else to continue to learn, because we're dealing with a system where we cannot afford to be asleep behind the wheel. We can't be absent of knowledge. And that's why Mr. Fuller thankfully left us 3 code books to guide us. He wrote his original book back in 1984. Then he came back out with a book in 2010, Word Guide. And in 2016, he wrote another book, the expanded version of the original book. And so the information is out there. We need some type of code. We need some type of guidance. Mr. Fuller said these books are not the law, but they are for guidance. Use them if they can be helpful to you. And like Mr. Bobby said, they can be found on producejustice.com, where you also can get an update on what's going on with the show and with the organization Produce Justice, which is Mr. Fuller's organization. Mr. Fuller's organization, Produce Justice, and his family, they have charged us with the responsibility of keeping this word going. So many times we see some of our leaders, our very erudite leaders, they leave the planet, they go join the ancestors, and there's nobody left behind to carry the torch, or at least they didn't do so. Well, that's not going to be the case here. We're going to make sure that this legacy is kept alive, and that's why Mr. Bobby and I are here. We are not here to replace Mr. Fuller. We are here to supplement, to augment, to keep his words out here, and to take the current events and run them through the prism, through the lens of justice. We ask that question every week. What would the code say? What would Mr. Fuller say? Mr. Fuller left his, when you wonder about what the code and Mr. Fuller are inseparable. So when we say the code, we say Mr. Fuller, and it may be his words in writing in his books, or it may be words from one of his recordings, whether it's podcast, in-person appearances, and so forth. So sometimes we may paraphrase what he says, but the key is to keep his legacy alive. And it's a legacy well worth preserving. Thank you again, Mr. Bobby, but today we're going to talk about something that was really dear to Mr. Fuller. And you're probably going to hear it again. This is not the first time we've touched on the subject because it's so predominant. But we're talking about these killings in our community. These killings in our community are worth discussing. We look at an area like Chicago. This past 4th of July, there were at least 55 people shot, 8 fatally, as gun violence has run across the country, and somehow this annual occurrence happens on the 4th of July. Now, of course, some people are saying it was a drastic decrease from last year. Like that's something to be proud of. It's not. But it's an annual opportunity for Black people to remind the world of how this country has taught us to hate ourselves. And then some people say, well, we shouldn't air our dirty laundry in public. No matter how much violence happens, we should not talk about it because it gives talking points to the other side. Some people say, well, it's not the time right now. We've got other fish to fry, like Trump and his damaging policies. But if we kill each other off, it's not going to matter what Trump does if we too busy killing each other off. Some people will also say, well, whites kill each other, Hispanics kill each other, all demographics kill each other. Why are we giving these racists these talking points, these tropes about our community? Well, we can't be angrier at the media that's pushing the narrative than we are about the people killing each other. They're not mutually exclusive. We can do both. So what I like to do is to say, until we get down into the root cause of this problem, it doesn't matter how many folks you lock up. You can't lock up enough shooters. Right now, there are over 2 million people in the prison system in this country, more so than any country in the world. So I've been digging around in the underbelly of this system, this racist system that we're living in. It's a system that produces disrupted families, economic disinvestment, political disenfranchisement, and intergenerational trauma. And all of these create this ecosystem that undermines our community stability, which in turns creates this endless cycle of violence. So we have to look at this system. And that's what Mr. Fuller has been saying constantly. You get rid of the system of racism, you can solve all of the other problems on your day off. We have to look at our children that are fed into this system. They are shooed up and spit out. We see achievement gaps, discipline disparities. Institutional inertia, feedback loops. All of these things are feeding this system. It's making this system much more difficult to dismantle. I mean, I almost get emotional when I talk about this because I have this this sweet spot in my heart for our children. I'm a parent. I'm also an educator. I've been at this for many years. I've been behind the scenes, but this is what I do. So when we feed our children into this system that we have failed to dismantle so far, we are creating this school to prison pipeline that makes occasional stops to shoot up 4th of July celebrations, shoot up reunions, shoot up concerts, or any place that Black people congregate. We can do better than this. But the bottom line is there's not much we can do until we put laser focus on dismantling this system. It's a tough system. It's a cruel system. It's a system Mr. Fuller spent his entire life thinking about, writing about. And Mr. Bobby and I are here to make sure that we don't lose focus, that we don't fall for the hype, that we don't get lost in the political opportunism, that we focus on this problem. It's a big problem. It's a hard problem. It's a system. It's not just individual racism. It's not even just institutional racism. It's systemic. And so we have to make sure that as we face these daily microaggressions, that we face these systems of redlining and people banning our books, that we don't forget that we're dealing with a system, and you can't get rid of the system by just punching somebody in the nose who called you the N-word. I mean, that might feel good sometimes, but that's not dismantling the system. So I think one of the presidents of the past said, we don't do these things because they're easy. We do them because they're hard. And so I have no illusions about the challenges of the task ahead. And so we're going to play some of Mr. Fuller's words on this topic that was so dear to him. We ask you to come back. We ask for your feedback. I put the link in the feed, and we'd like to hear your take on this as well. Mr. Bobby.
Well, it was all summed up in one of the most prophetic statements ever made, which is played at the beginning of the program every week. But it probably, in my opinion, goes over people's head. Neely Fuller said, if you do not understand racism, white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you think you understand, that's my word, think, you understand, will only confuse you. And that's what we have right now. One of the most profound statements ever made has been that statement right there. Right there. If you don't understand reading in confusion that is inter and intra connected in area that, like Mr. Fuller said, a people activity. You can't escape it. Now, what to do about it?
Well, and that's what we are charged with, Mr. Bobby. What do we do about it? Now, I come on this platform along with you, Mr. Bobby, and we're not just here to recite Mr. Fuller's words. We're here also to inject some calls to action. So the first thing, one of the things Mr. Fuller also said is that you have to educate. You have to educate yourself. Don't just talk about it. You got to educate yourself. And that's another reason he left these books behind. Let's get back to this topic of killing people. This really bothered Mr. Fuller. It was almost inseparable from his DNA. Let's hear some of his words on this particular topic.
The original white supremacists came up with an idea called white supremacy, and they say, if it will mean that we will have everything concentrated on, all of our educational system, our monetary system, everything that we do will be connected with the will to dominate people of color in every area of activity, every minute of every day, wherever we happen to be. That will be our entire philosophy of life, and we will prosper from it. We will get from that all of the things that all people start with. What's on my mind is one word: murder. M-U-R-D-E-R. And from what I understand and from what I read and looking at television, listening to the radio, the murder rate among black people is astronomical, particularly black males and younger black males killing black people. And this is being glossed over, in my opinion. Not doing it out of necessity, for the most part, but there's some form of entertainment. That you have huge numbers of black people who are actually bored if they're not out killing black people. They don't even know what to do with themselves. They just kind of wander around bumping into things. And they become very focused when it comes to killing people that look like themselves. You ask a person who is doing the killing, is this a justified killing? This thing you're fixing to do. You're going to a party and you are taking a gun, which means you intend to use it, whether you use it or not. That's your basic intention when you add that to your reason for going to the quote-unquote party. Or you're going to any place where there's going to be a large number of other black people. So you're thinking in terms in the back of your mind, some of them are going to be targets for my pistol, for my revolver, for my rifle. I don't know who they are, but they're going to be targets. Why? Because I got the power of life and death. And I'm going to introduce that to them because I'm king of the neighborhood. Some of them are people I used to go to school with before I dropped out. Now, some black person somewhere right now on the planet is thinking exactly what I'm saying right now. That is their thought. They're looking at that 9mm over there with those nice shiny bullets lying over there on the bed. And after they get dressed, they're going to add that to their dress code. And at some point, you keep carrying that piece with you. You're going to use it. And most likely it's going to be the murder.
Mr. Bobby? Well, you heard the words of Mr. Fuller. And I picked up one thing he said. It tapped into that comment I said earlier about the school to prison pipeline. These things don't happen in a vacuum. They're not accidental. It's part of the system. It's part of the plan. He said that some of these folks, some of the young black men who are shooting people, they're shooting some of the same people they went to school with before they dropped out. Now, that part wasn't lost on me because that's really part of the intention. Get enough of them to drop out, make it hard enough over discipline them, create education gaps, remove their history from the libraries, you will have the dropouts. Once they drop out, they get bored, they can't find jobs. And history has shown that people would turn on the people that's closest to them in proximity. They're not driving over the white neighborhoods or the Hispanic neighborhoods. They're shooting the folks around them. So you've created a shooting in a fishbowl type of environment. Mr. Bobby.
I was wondering, what do the people in the chat have to say about that? Here's a Nicolette said it can be changed, incorporating hunting, fishing licenses along with constitutional values of bear arm rights in school, as well as karate or other defense classes in school, which to me change mindsets. What do other people in the chat have to say, Gate? Do you
Well,
have
I'll tell
those
you
up
what,
there?
we actually have some people online.
Yeah,
Let's get them in here.
yeah, get them in here.
Now, I see you, Nicolette. If you are ready to come online, you can unmute yourself. I see Dale. I'm going to put up Dale while Nicolette gets ready. Bringing Dale onto the stage. Dale, welcome to the show.
Yeah, can I be heard?
We hear you loud and clear, brother.
Okay, yeah, I listened to Neely Fuller for years, and he changed my life. But what I have to say is basically, um, he said that you got to scrap the whole system and rebuild it because you can't build on, rotten eggs and rotten fruit. So basically, the reason why I think everything is going on is because of the system of white supremacy. And basically, they're champion, what we're doing, basically.
Well, Dale.
So, go ahead.
No, I was going to put the question out here. Mr. Fuller has his take on how to dismantle the system. What do you think some of the things that we should be doing immediately, either in a short term or long term basis, to dismantle this system?
Well, basically, change start with you. So if you want change, you got to change. And
like
basically, you start with your own family. So lead by example. If you want change, then be the leader of the change, because we already see it breaking down with the whole ICE thing, and basically, it might lead to civil war because you got different mayors of different cities pushing back on the federal government, and that's basically how it starts. The federal government has no credibility when it comes to enforcing its laws on the citizens if the mayor stand in the way. So basically, that standing in the way, it will cause the problem. But we are the ones that basically vote these people in, and then we complain about them. So my thing is, if you're going to vote somebody in and complain about them, the next step is to try to vote them out or run for office yourself.
Those are very concrete.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
That's very concrete information and advice you laying on us, Dale. I like the one somebody paraphrased you in the chat. Be the example. There's an expression. Be the change you want to see in the world. So if you want to see the system eradicated, then you got to eradicate it in your own life and those around you, on your job, in your organization,
right,
in your school systems, in your church, in your family. So don't be looking so far down the road, and when you living it amongst it. So fix it around you. And if everybody fixes it around them in their immediate areas of influence, then you start making a dent in it. I really appreciate that, Dale. So hang on if you can.
Okay, I also wanted to add on. Always wanted to
Sure.
add on if I can.
Sure.
Yeah, basically, we have to be that change. But I hate to say it, but some of us are just killing each other off to get rid of each other. And sometimes the weeds got to kill other weeds in order for the flowers to grow. So, I'm not condoning death. I never condone death. I never condone violence or anything like that, but I'm not the creator. So, I didn't create and I can't destroy, but it seems like the creator is allowing these things to happen so that we can get to a better place. Because if you come out here and you spend your time on what Mr. Fuller called unproductive things, it's going to lead to unproductive things. Unproductive actions lead to unproductive things. You out here celebrating, and that's what Mr. Fuller said. He said, every day is a holiday. So why you picking out July 4th as a whole day to go out here and barbecue and drink and smoke, and then you end up in an unproductive situation where you're doing something unproductive? Mr. Fuller suggested that you take these whole days and you study. So, if you was at home studying, trying to make a change, then it would be a change. But no, you out here party. So party, unproductive, lead to unproductive things. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you very much. Mr. Fuller also said, I'll play another clip from Mr. Fuller. He did address the fact that when somebody kills somebody, they are pretty much circumventing that person's creator. He has a term for it, and he actually addresses it in his words. So we're not condoning that. He's saying that, but that's what's happening by default. You're saying that I am pretty much overruling your Almighty by killing something that God created. So Mr. Fuller, he really gave some thought to this topic. Nicolette, are you ready to come on, or did you want to come on?
That's fine. I think I kind of said it in the comment. Thank you. Good morning, you guys.
Thank you, Nicolette.
I just said that I'm glad that I'm on code, because I was just telling the insurance person this week in a red line area, my son was in an accident on a 4-wheeler. Well, they're saying that he was at fault, and the officer wrote that the collision happened on a highway when it was a street. And so I had called the police station, and I'm like, my son had a bad rap since we moved on the East Coast, and he had a BB gun, and they keep him under monitor as if he a future person with a gun. So I'm now in the process through action of my own with my own kid and getting him his hunting and fishing license so that he can have a different concept. Even though I already gave him a different concept, it would be a different concept for him to understand. A gun is not which Dr. Wilson was saying, that your penis is a pistol. So the extension of a gun is not the extension of your manhood, that you have to find things within yourself to create being what a man is in a white supremacist system.
Amen. Amen. Nicole, you're always on point. Thank you for those very powerful words. Mr. Bobby, you got to chime in on it.
What Nicolette was referring to, and I implore that people read it. Most people won't, in my opinion, but she was talking about something that Dr. Francis Cress Welsing wrote in the ISIS papers concerning the penis, and what she compared it to and what it is and how it works in the system of racism and white supremacy. Now, if you haven't read it, then you don't know what she's talking about, life or death. And even the scripture said that life and death are in the power of the tongue. So Nicolette is exactly on point, and she is taking progressive action in how to counter the system that that we are all dealing with, and her in particular, and in particular with her son. And this is what we must do in the steps of dismantling the system. And Fuller consistently told us and showed us what to do or what not to do in the code book that we can get by going to producejustice.com, picking it up at a certain point and reading it, and then following the instructions on that book and how to counter this. There's not no pill or panacea, for all things to just happen and poof, the magic dragon and not the we to go out overnight. It takes a process. It's work that we have to do, or else we will be consumed by the distractions that the system of racism and white supremacy put before us all the time.
Thank you, Mr. Bobby. Thank you.
Mr. Bobby, may I say one more thing before y'all move on to the next thing? I think also that a lot of people need to figure out a way to get the video that Dr. Wilson produced to give you a visual of how she compared everything versus just reading the book. And when I seen that book in the late 1990s, it was so much helpful for me to be able to put a vision within my mind as they was teaching us television is telling you a vision. So it had already put me an educated vision of guns and the correlation to different games, the pool table and all that stuff. So that as I got older, I was able to stay in the code to be able to change things within my own home or within my community.
Well, if you have that link, if you want to share it with us, we're working into the show. So you're right. Visuals are impactful. Go ahead. Mr. Bobby.
Nicolette is really on point, and I could back her up scripturally by saying this, that the word says, without a vision, the people perish. So she's right on point. When you see something, on that visual, and I have seen many visuals of Dr. Wilson, it does help support what you can read in a book. It really does help. Good point, Nicolette. Good point.
All right. You folks are on code. We're on code today, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking code. Mr. Fuller wrote 3 code books. He understood the power of a code. He said a code is something that works. And whether it's a code for this, that, the other, for dismantling a system, but you got to work on it. You can't just talk about it and read about it. You have to actually get out and do the work, as Mr. Bobby said. We have to do the work. Let's get another comment on Mr. Fuller as he talks about this topic. And what seems in his mind was the glorification of murder.
I've been thinking about the number of murders that happen throughout the entire planet, and particularly among black people, and particularly, specifically, black people killing black people. That black people have been systematically under the system of white supremacy taught that murder is one of the things that you can do to get glory. Killing people, or rather mistreating people by killing people. Murder is just a form of mistreatment. So you murder somebody and in a way of mistreating them, and you glamorize that mistreatment. And the white supremacists on television and what you call streaming or whatever you want to call it, the internet, and books after books, it's really glorifying murder. So that explains a lot of black people going around and say, why are we having so much killing? Why doesn't somebody do something about it? Well, when you have a social system worldwide that's set up on glorifying murder, murder is what you're going to get. Black people don't come into the world thinking about murdering somebody. So why did we? How does it evolve that we start writing songs about who we can kill, and poems about it, and stories about it, making up stories, as if there are not enough stories that you can tell the truth about one person killing another. So in capsule, I've been thinking about murder is a form of creator contempt, showing contempt for the creator. That's really what you're basically doing.
Said creator contempt, showing contempt for the creator when you kill somebody. Let me get go ahead, Mr. Bobby.
Something right now. I don't know whether I know you realize this, Gate, but to also supplement the point that Nicolette met and said, by you playing the videos and people can hear the words of Mr. Neely Fuller Jr., not just in print, but they can hear him actually speak. That is so powerful that I can't even describe the feeling of it, because you are hearing his words, not your words, Gate, not my words, but his words that he also penned in the book. This is really, to me, this is just epic. And we're blessed to be able to hear the man speak on the subject that you brought up today. I mean, this is just tremendous.
Mr. Bobby, you're right. And what we're going to do, just giving the listeners and followers a heads up, we're going to compound that by bringing some actual video of Mr. Fuller and Dr. Francis actually interacting and speaking. If you think those words are powerful, wait till you actually see him addressing the audience, interacting with Dr. Francis. And so that's coming down the pike. So please stay tuned. I was listening on his as he talked about this glorification of murder and how that seemed to be part of this system that seems to glorify murder. When you're looking at the systemic level of racism, you have this interaction between institutions. You also have this historical disadvantage that's being perpetuated, a historical accumulation of disadvantage. And you have these cultural narratives that justify racial hierarchy. All of this is built into the system. And then you have legal and political frameworks that maintain this system of inequity. Then you roll on institutional inertia, which means the institutions aren't going to do anything to dismantle the system. That compounds this ecosystem that makes it that much more difficult to dismantle. It doesn't make it impossible. What it does, it reminds us of the challenge before us. When we see things like what's happening on July 4th in Chicago and around the world, these things don't happen in a vacuum. They don't happen they're not to imply that Black people are inherently violent. It doesn't mean that our children somehow are being abandoned or not being cared for. It means that we're up against a system that's omnipresent, that affects our daily lives, and as Mr. Fuller said, in the 9 areas of activity. Mr. Bobby.
You know, and again, you brought up a good point. The system doesn't care, in particular about us. You know, we're marginalized and just second class, but it will also kill other people who look like them. Yes. And the case in point, although it is, and I'm using air quotes that people can see and maybe hear, the so-called not assassination, but the so-called hanging or killing of himself, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the question that came to my mind is, it's been said that he hung himself or killed himself, but where is the evidence? Or if he did do this, why aren't the whatever the tapes or whatever released, and why is there a gap in a 24-hour showing of him being in the prison. Why is there a gap missing? See, it brings about suspicion about this. So murder and all that stuff, it is all designed to support the narrative that they want us to believe. It's a distraction. If he did do that, then okay, why can't you release the tapes? I mean, release what needs to be released. What is, what is, why? What are you hiding, or why are you hiding, or are you hiding? What is it?
Well, anything that's going to blemish or weaken this system, this powerful system of racism, is going to be swept under the rug. It's going to be, the narrative is going to be rewritten. It's going to be minimized. And other things are going to be maximized, like you said, Mr. Bobby, create that distraction. So once you understand the system, how it is, what it is, and how it works, everything that you thought you understood is going to confuse you. We play that quote when we open the show. We play that quote when we close the show because it's that important. I've seen this quote in so many people's books. I've seen it at the footnote of many people's movies and documentaries and podcasts because it's part of one of the most prophetic quotes known to man. So I'm going to give Mr. Fuller almighty props for that. He actually laid it down in a way that we can all understand. I'm going to take put one more quote up on Mr. Fuller as we kind of wrap up this topic on blacks killing blacks. And like I said, I don't want anybody coming at me saying, well, don't be talking about black on black crime. I'm not talking about black on black crime. I'm talking about blacks killing blacks and what we need to do to stop it. We can't let it perpetuate. One is taking lives, and we have to stop the cycle. We do have to talk about it. We do have to address it. And yes, it is part of a talking point for people who try to minimize or dehumanize us. Yes. But that shouldn't stop us from talking about it among ourselves. Let's put up some more worries from Mr. Fuller.
It's black people's priority. We want to do just enough to show off to other black people. I say this almost on every program because this is where our biggest weakness is. Black people who are out here drive-by shooting. What is that really about? Showing off. Showing off to whom? Each other. If you notice, all the black people that go to these, like we just had, July the 4th, they go to these gatherings, everybody hugging and fist pumping and all of this, and then the shooting breaks out, and some 13-year-old girl halfway down the block, skipping rope, she's shot in the head. That's black people among ourselves. But what is it really all about? It's showing off. You passed by about 15 white playgrounds in that car with your homies. I'm talking to the people who are doing this type of stuff and analyzing it for what it really is. You went all through one side of town to another side of town because you heard there was a party going on over there. And that party, you made sure that party was a party of black people, people that looked just like yourself. So you went over there, passed by a whole bunch of white playgrounds, see, which goes to show you what your intent is right there. Now, you're not just looking for playgrounds. You're looking for a specific playground or a specific place where there are non-white people, people that look like yourself, mostly. In fact, you're just hungry for that. You're starving for that. And that's why you do it. So that's a form of what? Showing off. Now, people who don't have anything in their existence to do other than show off your new tattoo, your new hairdo, your new way of shooting into a crowd, all right, and then jumping in a car and tearing down the street, and hoping that no white people are trying to catch you, because if they are on you, that's when it really gets serious. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. If it's some white people who are trying to catch you, now it's really serious. And you know it's serious with your black self. I mean, tearing up everything among black people. But when the white supremacists show up, now it's demonstration time. You want all those black people that you are shooting at to come out and help you. You shouldn't get any help from anybody, including your mother and grandmother. They should say, look, I don't know you. Don't come back here ever doing that kind of foolishness. Don't ever set foot in this house again. Now that, maybe I'm stretching it a bit on the question, but I'm saying this is the way the code goes with it. Yes, every black grandmother who has a grandson out here drive-by shooting should let him know, if your name is ever connected with anything like that, don't you ever set foot in here again. And she can do it with tears in her eyes, but she can make that clear.
That sounds like, Mr. Bob, that sounds like what Dale was saying. You got to start where you are. He's saying to you grandmothers, to you mothers, you fathers, before you going out here and start trying to dismantle the system that's much bigger than you, look, fix the things around you. Tell grandson to stop going out here shooting people. Now, somebody made a comment in the comment. I thought it was worth bringing up. And like it was Sass 7, he said, wasn't non-white people killing each other before white people were created? Well, I'm going to say probably yes. But there was also slavery before chattel slavery was injected. My point is, the racists are resourceful. They don't have to go out here and create new things. Like, I can take this bottle of water. If I decide to turn it into a weapon, I can just hold it up against your nose and drown you with it. So the point is that, yes, black folks have been killing each other since there have been people. White folks have been killing each other since there were people. Arabic people have been killing each other since there were people. Everybody been killing each other. But when you inject it and make it a tool, a weapon into a demonic system, it gives it new relevance. It's like the some of the other arguments. Well, this was around before this happened, or these things already happened. But we're looking at a resourceful system. The 9 areas of activity, they weren't created. I mean, economics was been around since the beginning of time. Politics, law, sex, war, they have always been there. But it took a system to turn those things into weapons, into arsenal of weapons, resourcefully used to perpetuate and expand the racist system. So that to answer the question and to respond, yes, people have always been killing each other. But all killings are not equal. All killings don't have the same foundation. We're looking at a killing in our neighborhoods right now that have been permitted, encouraged, sometimes willingly, sometimes just because, like you say, we have institutional inertia. That's the way it's always been. Let's leave things where they are. Like the educational system, you try to say, hey, look, we have this colorblind society. You hear some people talking about this colorblind society we have. They have these race neutral policies. Well, of course, you're going to make things colorblind now. You're going to make things race neutral now when you have like a 200-mile head start. You have to go back and dismantle some of these systems. You have to inject some equity. Equality is not enough. Equity means look at everybody's individual challenges. so that everybody has an equal opportunity. Mr. Bobby.
I'm agreeing with you wholeheartedly on the way, but Fuller in his book that you can get by going to producejustice.com and all those 9 areas that you are addressing, put out a plan for how we are to attack or dismantle the system by being on code. And what you said earlier, and referring to what Mr. Fuller said, you have to have a code. He said, why? Because it works every time. Every time. That's what it does. When you cut that light switch on, because of the code of the electricians and so forth, it is programmed so that when you flick it in an upright position or on position, it's supposed to come on, and it does. If it doesn't, then something is wrong. But the code fixes it so that this works, and you continue to follow the code that works. This is why he wrote this book, which is most profound, that you can get by going to producejustice.com. He even put a word guide in there for you to understand words that are used for you and words that are used against you. I mean, that man was something else.
Indeed, he was. As a matter of fact, he often talked about justice. And you talked about, Mr. Bobby, about how powerful it is to hear his actual words.
This is justice, guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Now, we listen to Mr. Fuller when he described justice. It's a very simple, it's not complicated. Even a child can understand it. We look at this recent legislation that passed through Congress and was signed by the president. Some have labeled it erroneously the big, beautiful bill, while others may have correctly labeled it the big, ugly bill, because it does some ugly things. It does reduce resources. They might not call it exactly what it is. They're not going to say, look, this bill is going to gut Medicaid. They don't say in the bill it's going to close hospitals in rural areas. They speaking in code. And thankfully, we have some bright people out here that have seen through it. They calling a spade a spade. It's ugly. It is the antithesis. It's the opposite of justice. When you guaranteeing that nobody's mistreated, and you guaranteeing that those who need help the most get the most constructive help, that is justice. That is not what this bill is. Matter of fact, this bill is Robin Hood in reverse. It's taking precious resources from those who need it. K through 12 education programs are going to be hurt. Senior citizens, the sick, the infirmed, the marginalized communities. They're taking away resources, money that fund different programs. It took a long time to put many of these systems in place. Years of fighting, years of legislation. Do you know how long it takes a bill to get through Congress? Some of these programs like diversity, equity, and inclusion, like the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, Brown v. Board of Education, it took a gargantuan effort. And when you go in with the stroke of a pen and a few midnight huddles and wipe all that away, it's going to take a while to put it back. This is a moment that we should all be looking at and bracing yourself, coming together, supporting each other, looking at allies. Everybody in this fight does not look exactly like we do. There are people across on different demographics that are also in this fight. A few shows ago, we talked about the quote by Martin Niemöller when the Nazis were doing terrible things to the Jewish population. First, they came for the machinists. Then they came for the trade unionists. Nobody spoke up. When they finally came for me, there was nobody left. So don't let this moment, just because right now they're barring the people from the Middle East from the country, and they're sending people now back to Afghanistan into unknown fates. There are people being put in cages. Once they've done that, I can assure you, you're next. So that's why the fight for justice has to be a perpetual fight, just like the racists have made it a perpetual fight for themselves. Mr. Bobby, we're coming down to the end here.
I can echo exactly what you said, and it's good that we and that you allowed other people to get in and get their takes in. That is what really makes the show better. I can't read that. What is that? How men? Neely is one of the greatest there are, a ton of, but an algorithmic supremacist society, our voices are quickly silenced. Our Afro system must be silent but known, like the quiet child with gifts. Okay, I don't quite understand that. Maybe there's something that you find any relevance to that, or understand what a person was trying to say.
Well, I think he's speaking in code,
Okay.
saying that some things that we say doesn't have to be verbal, but we are saying them among ourselves, because sometimes when we put it out there, the voices are silenced. So that's what I'm interpreting. And like I say, we'd be happy to have him to come on the air one day and speak his piece like anyone. This show is open to all. We have a platform that allows everyone to come on and speak their piece. Today we had Dale, we had Nicolette. We also would like to hear your voice, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah. So in essence, and thank you for clarifying it. So really, there is no real perception of quote unquote freedom of speech because of what they can do algorithmic wise or whatever. They can silence that any time they want to.
And Mr. Bobby, I had this discussion with someone the other day, and it bothers me to no end, is that no matter how many shows we do, how many marches we do, how much protest we have, we are at the behest, we are beholden to the system that oppresses. We don't have our own food sources, supplies. We don't put our own restaurants and grocery stores in our communities. We don't control our own water supply. So we have to, it's a very tightrope. It's a maze that we have to navigate very carefully. So that's why I say we have to look at this for the global system that it is, and we have to take a globalist approach to fight it. People that have resources, many of them don't look like us. We have to bring them on board to help us in this fight. So everybody out here is not our enemy who looks differently, but we have to constantly build our own as we dismantle this system. We have to work on several fronts. We're coming to the end of the show, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. You've been amazing. Thank you, Dale. Thank you, Nicolette, for coming on and voicing your words and opinion. Thank you, Mr. Bobby. We'll be back next Tuesday with another topic of interest. We'll be asking that question, what does the code say? And we'll bring on Mr. Fuller's words. Some will be in print, some will be in actual writing, and we'll give our take on it. we'll give our own VGQ, which Mr. Fuller calls this.
VGQ, according to the compensatory code, which is what I do, means victims guaranteed qualification. Now, what does that mean? It's something I made up. Victims guaranteed qualification. And it means if you are a victim, if you consider yourself to be a victim of the system of white supremacy, you are qualified just by being a victim to say anything that you want to say, anything that you think should be said.
So that's my call to action to you. Mr. Fuller said it. If you are a victim and you want to come on this show and say your piece, this platform is for you. Last word, Mr. Bobby.
Yes, producejustice.com.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you again. We'll be back next Tuesday at 9 o'clock right here on Neely Fuller's Counter-Racist Code Show. We're trying to maintain his legacy, keep his legacy alive, and go to producejustice.com to keep up with what's happening with the show, with Mr. Fuller and his legacy, new materials that are coming on board, and we will see you next week.
If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time.